Hey there, how does this color make you feel? In the 1970s, this specific shade of pink In the 1970s, a very specific shade of pink was used in a number of prisons in the US as part of a psychological experiment. Today, I'm doing my own psychological experiment. But as I do not have a prison cell in my studio apartment, I will be using the closest substitute, my bathroom. Let's get into it, shall we? So this is Baker Miller pink, otherwise known as drunk tank pink, and it was invented by this guy, Alexander Schaus. But the story actually starts a few years earlier with Max Luscher, a Swiss psychologist who theorized that someone's mental state would affect their color preferences. My color preferences in middle school, unfortunately, support this theory. But Schaus took Luscher's theory a step further. If people's internal mental state reflected the colors they chose, then why couldn't external colors affect someone's internal mental state? Schaus then began to conduct experiments on himself to try and test this theory, and he found that a very particular shade of pink resulted in the lowering of his heart rate, pulse, and respiration, increasing feelings of contentment and calm. Since it worked on himself and his assistant, Schaus figured it might work for others as well. And what better guinea pigs to test out his theories than those in the American justice system? And so, starting in 1979, experiments were conducted to see what effects this beautiful shade of pink had on the prisoners who were surrounded in it, and whether this pink really did cause a positive mood change. Results were mixed at best, but you can still see Baker Miller pink today in places like the opposing team's locker room in football, or the interior decorating of a celebrity touting it as an appetite suppressant. Either way, I want to know, just what does this stuff do? Well, let's paint our bathroom drunk tank pink and find out. Where are we going?
Lowe's?
What are we doing?
Looking for paint?
Yeah, we are. And thus we ventured into Lowe's, where we had them mix a custom paint color for us to be as close as physically possible to the original Baker Miller's pink. That looks pretty good. We then took our custom paint and headed out the door. Success!
I thought you were gonna say sucks to suck, and I was
Sucks
like,
to suck!
Okay.
At this point, all I had left to do was show you the before shots and try not to kill myself while trying to prep the room to paint. So here's where we're at this point. We've taped up all of the walls, we've gotten all of the other stuff taken care of, and I've even pre-prepped all of the tape lines to make sure they come out really smooth by painting over the tape with the first little layer of white, because I heard that that helps create smooth tape lines. So, I guess, without further ado, we have at it. And now that we've finished painting, all that's left to do is take off the tape in an extremely aesthetic and not at all frustrating manner, and we will be pretty much free to start our experiment. Except for a couple of things. And that's that we still need to replace the mirror and restore these drawer pulls that someone had inexplicably painted gray for some reason to their former glory. Another optional step is to dye your hair to better match the vibes of the room, admire your handiwork, and seek the approval of the world's toughest critic. Don't worry about any harsh artistic feedback, they'll fix that for you before the final reveal. So at this point we had completely finished painting the bathroom and we were ready to begin the experiment. And this experiment was that I was going to spend 5 hours in the bathroom and basically just do my regular work. Do I recognize that there is a flaw in this experiment because we did not have like a baseline where I spent 5 hours in the regular bathroom? Technically, yes. However, I've spent a lot of hours in there, so I feel like I know, generally speaking, how I feel sitting in our bathroom. And so, without further ado, let's go to our little pink jail for a bit and see how it makes us feel.
Five hours later.
It's been 5 hours, and here's what I've learned. Our little experiment had some very unexpected results, to say the least. Number one, I was expecting that I would feel kind of irritated or annoyed because the color was so ridiculously bright and so ridiculously pink. But what's been really weird is that the color was so bright and garish that it actually made me happy because I thought it was so funny. Now, granted, would this have the same effect if I spent a couple of months in there? Besides the fact that my back started hurting super badly because I didn't bring myself in any chairs or anything like that, I kind of just spent the entire 5 hours on the counter, which was not a part of the experiment. But anyway, what I found really interesting was that I actually feel like I had a better time than I would have in just a white room. For lack of a more specific term, it felt very visually interesting and engaging to be in a room with such a bright yet somehow also subdued color. But because I wasn't completely sure of the results and whether they were based on just personal bias, my information about the pink, etc., etc., I decided to bring in a little guinea pig. My husband. You just been in here?
Mm-hmm.
Did you not want to come out?
Has it been 20 minutes?
It's been like an hour.
Oh. Well, I guess that says something.
So in that like hour that you spent in the bathroom, how did you feel?
It was honestly really nice. Yeah, it was great. I was like, I would love to paint a whole office that color. It was so relaxing. I was at peace.
So did the pink room actually do anything? Did it make me feel happier, more content, more relaxed, etc.? Honestly, yes. When I compared it to how I usually feel in that room, which I've spent a lot of time in because that's usually where I will do my makeup for videos, I felt much more relaxed and also weirdly focused on my task. I'm not sure if it was because of a lack of visual difference in the room, but I felt more focused. I felt happy. It was weird because as I was painting it, I actually felt giddy. Like, I felt very happy about it. Like, I was like, this is the best choice I have ever made in my entire life. Naturally, later I realized that I had closed both doors while I was painting, which means that I was super high on paint fumes. And I had a headache for hours afterwards, so maybe don't do that. I probably lost like 10% of my brain function that day. So, do you think that the color of the walls around you actually influences your mental state? Do you feel like this particular shade of pink has a greater psychological effect than other colors? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. How do you think you would feel if you were trapped in this room for 5 hours? And in addition, I would love to do a longer term experiment. I didn't give myself a ton of time inside this room or a ton of time isolated. So if you would like to see that, where I try and attempt a longer term experiment where I stay in there for a couple of days and see how I feel then comment down below, and I might do it, and I might not.
As you wish.
I'm very intrigued, to say the least. Thank you for watching, and leave your ideas in the comments below as to more experiments with color we can do in the future. And with that, I will see you next time. Very, stimulating. Wrong word! Forget I said that word. For lack of a better term, it felt very visually stimulating. And I recognize I'm a sample size of 1. Oh, stop being so specific, Rebecca!